What's up, Internet? Welcome back. This is Linzer22. Programming is hard. Programming is also tedious. But most importantly, programming can be fun. It's one of those things in my life where the learning curve has always been out of reach. It seems like this unachievable understanding is only accessible at the surface level after maybe 10 years of programming. The truth is, yes, it's complicated, but there are tools out there to simplify it. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about a little software on the Switch that promises just that, and it's called Fuze4. This program is not going to teach you about computer science, big data, or how to write efficient code, but the syntax is so forgiving, you'll be able to quickly prototype an idea, as long as it's not another one of those Breath of the Wild clones, although you might be able to do that. Now, to be 100% transparent, I've studied a bit of computer science, so I know the C++ syntax along with some prominent data structures, but I never really got to the point where I was able to translate an idea into something tangible on the screen. But then after a few days of watching tutorials and flipping through the help manual, I ended up making a thing and learning from it. Well, it's nothing amazing, and it's not like I did any coding magic to it, but if I'm going to be fairly honest, I am fairly proud of the work. I mean, technically this is the first time in my life I actually created a video game from scratch. Fuze4 is a great educational coding tool. It's fun, it's simple, and it forces you to get into that code. It got me so excited that I just had to talk about it. Fuze originally started off as an educational project for the Raspberry Pi. The small team wanted to create the experience of programming on those old, bulky PCs like the Commodore 64. I personally never had experience with them, but ever since discovering those devices relatively recently, I've realized it's a world I wish I had the opportunity to experience. These devices drop the user in a coding environment immediately, forcing the user to get comfortable with the computer's language. And since BASIC was pretty simple, it was generally a good way to introduce programming. It's a shame that original project was ultimately cancelled in favor of Fuze4 for Nintendo Switch, and it would have been a great excuse for me to get another Raspberry Pi, but ultimately, I think they made a smart decision. The UI feels fun and navigating through it feels natural. It's not 100 knobs and switches that takes about a 4-year degree to understand. Instead, you get straight into coding. But before you begin, I still recommend watching their official tutorials. They're really great and honestly fairly entertaining.
Wow, look at that. That is pretty cool.
That's like a mirror cube.
Mirror cube!
You can explore the pre-made games either from the Fuze team or the community. And once you feel ready and prepared, you can jump straight into the code. Initialize, set up your main loop, and boom, you have a program. But with anyone starting a project, you will hit a couple of snags. Well, guess what? Fuze has a brilliant system that when you need to access this help manual, it will automatically open the manual to the topic related to the syntax you're trying to work with. It's not 100% perfect, but it's definitely sped up troubleshooting for me personally. Its language is a custom version of BASIC, so it's very easy to start using if statements and for loops without worrying too much about syntax. So if you master these ideas here, you can apply them elsewhere. But don't quote me, I'm not a developer, I only do this for fun. Something that is pretty cool and something I've seen others do online is that not only can you make games, but you can also make applications, although I'm unsure of its practicality. Something that I personally made was a graphing calculator, and I was pretty shocked that I was able to build this. Now, it's far from finished, and it has no way to interact aside from altering a function, but hey, it can graph stuff. Why? Well, because math. Something that I like about Fuze4 is it drops you in a code editor. It trains you to use the built-in help manual and gives you a couple of built-in functions and leaves the rest to you. For many people, this will be overwhelming, but the fact that you can open example games, change variables, and run them for instant feedback, that makes it engaging. Now, really quick, I started writing this video before Nintendo's Game Builder Garage was announced, so I'm inserting this after the fact. First, I'll say, oh my, I'm getting this for sure, and I'm going to do a video on it, so you guys stay tuned if you're interested. But secondly, I don't think it's entirely a competitor to Fuze4. Game Builder uses a visual programming builder to give people the tools to code, even if they don't know how to code, but they can learn things like for loops and whatnot. Similar to Scratch, if you've ever heard of that. I think that's great and it looks very powerful. I believe Fuze4 serves a purpose for those who want to get dropped into the code. In fact, I think Garage Builder will open the floodgates of interest in programming for the Switch. And people will look at more advanced options after the fact, or maybe just want to take the next step. And Fuze4 will be there patiently waiting, because Fuze4 is designed differently, but with a similar goal. It almost feels like a fantasy console. And if you don't know what a fantasy console is, my friend Wassup Nate did a video on Pico 8, so I recommend you guys check it out. So as the name implies, fantasy consoles are consoles that never actually existed. You get to make a game for a console with specific spec limits and release them as ROM files, kind of like an emulator. The specific feature that I love about Pico 8 is the fact that you can view the source file of any project. And guess what you can do on Fuze4? You can do just that. Now, I've never programmed in Lua, but just looking at it a bit, it looks like it's a high-level programming language that's also pretty powerful. And maybe one day I'll tackle that and make a video about that. But for now, Fuze4 is it. It has an awesome community. In fact, if you join the Fuse Arena forums, you can already view some awesome projects people have been working on. You can download them and play them on your own console. Or you can just watch these long jam streams while listening to Dave's commentary. I really enjoyed this program. I bought it for $20 on the eShop, and honestly, I would have spent more. But to be honest, if it was over $20, I probably would not have expected to actually enjoy it so much. So I probably would have never bought it, to be honest. I know they were giving some for free because of a promotion with Wireframe magazine, but you know, if this is something you really want to learn and you want to support them, I would still pay the $20 for it. It's a small team with a respectable goal. Make programming an achievable goal to the many people. And like I mentioned at the start, programming is hard, but if you have the tools such as the Fuze4 program, it can be fun. Sometimes no matter how hard something is, just having fun can be enough to get past the learning curve. And you know what? If any of you guys out there have made anything on Fuse, send it my way. I'd love to see what you guys are creating.